Hi, everyone. I am so glad to be with you today and joined by my friend Colleen. Hello, Colleen.
Hello.
This is going to be a treat. I asked Colleen to pop in virtually to share the transformation that she and her children have had in their kitchen and home life around food. And she's got some great stories to share. I don't even know all of them myself. So this will be fun for all of us to listen to. So, Colleen, first, welcome. And
Thank
share
you.
with us about your family.
So we live in northern Alabama, and I have 4 kids and a wonderful husband, and we have a house church and homestead, and we homeschool. And so we've got a lot going on here. And I guess that's me in a nutshell.
That's right. But you forgot the coffee roasting. You do that
Oh,
too.
yes. And we roast our own coffee. Yes, we do that.
Yes.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
You are delightful, and I've enjoyed getting to know you. Actually, even before you joined our Eat God's Way program, we got connected on social, and that's been
Yeah.
fun to watch you and your family. And then this spring, which we're recording this in July 2023, but several months ago, you jumped into our Eat God's Way cooking program. So I just wanted to share or have you share what you and your family went through in your process. But first, let's back up to what was going on in your life at the time that you felt like you wanted to do it. What were you struggling with?
Sure. All the busy things that we mentioned just now. We also had 3 of my boys were playing baseball, and just practices and games and traveling to and from. I knew that I was going to need stuff on hand that I could either easily create or make a whole lot of in order to take with us. And also with the house church, I was cooking for a lot of people. So I'm always looking for new ways to make food for a lot of people or a little bit of people that just show up. That was really what instigated, I think, everything. And you were offering the batch cooking class, and I thought, this is it. This is my time to actually like batch cooking. I think that's my thing.
Awesome. So you were wanting to do everything better and faster, more
Yeah,
efficiently,
we
more
were
food in
already
less time.
exactly. And we already eat pretty healthy. I know a lot of people say, oh, we eat all processed food, so my health was in the dumps. That wasn't our issue. It was
Mhm.
just we are busy, and I want to either buy from people who share my values, which that's getting a little bit harder nowadays. So that was another issue. Now, every time I go to the store, I'm like, ugh, I don't want to buy their product. Maybe I'll just make it myself. So trying to figure out if I have to make it myself, I want to make the very best version. If I'm going to do it, I might as well do it right. So that was the other
Great.
motivation.
Great, great. So you jumped right in with our batch cooking class. Talk to us a little bit about highlights, ups and downs of that for you.
Yeah, so that one was kind of exciting,
I
batch
think it
cooking.
is.
I was so excited. My husband would come home and I'm like, look what we did today. But I really liked the idea of batch cooking the soaked beans. That was really exciting. And I feel silly sometimes being like, I soaked all these beans and I batch cooked them and then I froze them and now I have them. But that's like a game changer
Yeah.
around here. The rice and the oats. And I'm like, where has this been my whole life? And then we batch cooked applesauce, and I made apple cider vinegar from the peels when we did that. And we give apple cider vinegar to some of our animals for
Mhm.
antibiotic kind of purposes. And so having that on hand is very useful. So I was able to feed the kids applesauce for games and also feed my animals. And apple cider vinegar is useful for other things too.
Sure, sure.
We did so much.
Talk to us about how the kids were involved.
So we took, I wouldn't say time off school, but we took time off of the textbook version of school. And really for about 2 weeks, we went through batch cooking first, where I mostly did the batch cooking, but they were involved not in the class portion, but the doing portion. And then about halfway through that, I went, they should be here with me doing it. So we backtracked a little bit and we started with the fundamentals with them and then also did batch cooking at the same time. So we're kind of teetering between the two because we found ourselves going, oh, batch cooking, but then also we probably need this other thing first.
Yeah.
So we took about 2 weeks to go, okay, what are some of the materials you need? This is why I have these materials in my kitchen. This is what I want on my Christmas list. Then stuff to look for at the thrift stores and what you need to prepare for when you have your own home and your own family and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And this is why I'm doing it. So putting the why behind the method in the madness that is my kitchen sometimes was really, really useful. And so they were involved heavily in that part.
Neat. I love that you brought up the idea of fundamentals with batch cooking, because in batch cooking, it's like, let's add the efficiency to your cooking. But in our Eat God's Way fundamentals, it's more like, this method's important. This is why we do it. This is why it's the healthiest. And there's some tips and tricks, but then you take it to another level in batch cooking. So I can see how important that was for when your children are jumping in with you, so you could fill in that knowledge for them. And then you make it really efficient for your family and your house church and everything like that. That's nice. And they enjoyed it?
They loved it. They loved it. I had asked them, I said, so you guys like enjoying this, or do you want to go back to school? And they're like, no, this is awesome, because we're eating like what we're doing, because we'd immediately go into the kitchen. We like to do school typically between, say, 8:30 and 2. Those are like the goals for the day, but it doesn't always happen, but that's the goal. And so we would sit down in the morning, we would do the lessons, and then in the afternoon, we would be cooking, and then we'd just eat it for dinner or batch it and put it away or whatever. My one son, my 15-year-old, he made the homemade mayonnaise. I can't remember what we ate that day, but he did something. And then he made the chocolate bark, and that was like our dessert. And he works outside. He has a job. And so he took some of the goodies there. Oh, I know. It was the lemon curd muffins. He also made those. We batch cooked that. So he took those to work, and everybody's like, do you think your mom would make this? And so we could sell it. And I was like, oh no, what did I get myself into?
So did you say yes?
I did. And they said, oh, we need to talk about this. And then I just haven't got to the whole logistics of what do you want and everything.
Sure. I think that happens so often with muffins. When we first started this journey, this was ages ago, and my husband was working at the power company in Oregon. Part of his lunch, he had our soaked muffins, right? And his coworker was like, can I have some of that? And he tasted, he's like, would your wife make those for me? And I will buy them. And so for several months, he would buy them, and I'd pack them in the lunch for my husband, because they are just such a winner.
I know.
They're so awesome.
We've been making those too. That's kind of like a regular around here, because everybody's like, can I have one? And then before you know it, they're just gone.
Yeah.
Which is great.
So let's talk a little bit about how you fit it in with your life, because you're super busy, but I love that you incorporated the learning in with your school and then the cooking right before dinner time, so then you could eat. So it like became part of your life. Was that an easy transition? Hard? Talk to us about that.
So it was an easy transition because we took out the textbook teacher-led learning portion of my life for those 2 weeks. So that part was easy because we just replaced it. I was already using that time for teaching. I just replaced it with a different thing that I was teaching. Now that we are not doing that, they are not in the kitchen as much because they're doing either homesteading things, school things, or work and that sort of stuff. They still have an interest in cooking, and now they have the education for cooking. So I can bring them in and say, hey, I need you to go and soak something for me. And they can do it, but they're just not in the kitchen as much. So for the everyday sort of life, it's made it easier in the sense that now I have a groundwork to go on, but they're not going to be in the kitchen nearly as much.
What about for you personally? Has it stuck for you? Are you continuing to use what you've learned?
Oh, yeah. I find that transition being a little bit easier for me. I expected it to be easy because once I get my head set on something, I'm committed. I'm in.
You are that kind of person.
Yeah, definitely. I was not scared. I was like, okay, this is now life. Everything's over. All those other methods, those are dead to me. We're moving on.
That's right.
It's just replacing what I was doing with a new way of doing it and getting into a slightly different habit. I was already planning our meals in advance. Now I'm just using more of traditional ways to cook them. I don't know if it's necessarily cutting down on my time. I haven't really stopped to think about it. It's not adding more time for sure. And I think that scares some people. They think, oh, when you make everything from scratch, it adds more time. I don't find that that has been true.
I think if you're cooking already, you could have some time savings, but I think mostly what people experience is they do more with their time. They get more health benefits. They get more energy. They make more food. They bless more people in their cooking time. And yes, you can save time too, but I guess it depends on how do you want to spend that time? Do you want to produce more, or do you want to do something else with that time? And both are possible.
Absolutely. And I think that we're so dead set on maximizing our time and being more efficient with our time. And sometimes I think it's better to slow down and just
Mhm.
cook and just enjoy what you're doing and find contentment in slowing
Yes.
down and producing something of value. And I think that's been a very good teaching moment for the kids, is teaching them how to slow down, find contentment in the food that we are preparing, and not always relying on something fast and easy. I think there's a time for that, but that shouldn't be every meal.
Agreed. Agreed. If you're always frantic, then it works against you. I agree with you so much. I mean, I do my chores, but I love them because
Yeah.
I'm thinking or listening to an audiobook or chatting with somebody in the family. And so
Yeah.
it's not like I got to finish this in 10 minutes. It's more like, no, I
Yeah.
have 30 minutes, 40 minutes. And it's actually quite enjoyable
Yeah.
because my mind isn't somewhere else. It's like right here. And it's a very fruitful time. I love that you said that about it's valuable to be slow. Talk to us about sourdough then, because you did batch cooking fundamentals, but then you also jumped into our sourdough A to Z course.
I did. I did. When you say it, it sounds like I was like just everywhere. And I was. It's
You
just,
were, but that's
it,
okay.
it didn't seem like at the time I was eating it all up. So I've tried a lot of sourdough. I haven't eaten a lot of it because I didn't like it. It tasted
Oh.
sour and it
Hmm.
was unenjoyable. It was always dense and just not my thing. So if I saw somebody say, "Oh, it has sourdough," I'm like, "Man, pass." But this is not the same. It's so good. It's fluffy and it's not real dense. It's not real sour. It's a little sour, but it's not
Can be.
unenjoyable. Like that's all the flavor you're getting is just a
Yeah.
sour flavor. And I mill my own grain, and I think that makes a difference. I ran out earlier this week, so I had to replace it with a store-bought flour, and I can totally tell the difference in
Yeah.
the taste of what I'm producing. It tastes just kind of meh. So I'm excited to get my berries back to mill it and get that
Mhm.
flavor. You get more flavor. That's all it is.
It tastes fresher and it tastes more flavorful. If you've passed on so much sourdough, what is it that made you think you might try it with us?
So between you, Aaron, and Katie, seeing how you guys all approached sourdough, I went, oh, I know you're always saying you need to make it your own, but to see
Yeah.
each one of you make it your own made it not just attainable, but it took out a little bit of the mystery of how everybody does bread in their family. And I think that was really why I decided to try it again. And your lesson on the science behind it really convinced me also. So that was a really good lesson for me to review on why sourdough is actually good for you. So I just thought
Yeah.
people like it because it's like a thing. Everybody's to
Sure.
be cool and eat sourdough or something. I don't know.
So that goes back to how if you're going to spend the time cooking, you want to do the best it can be. And so then you were convinced that sourdough is the best.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
good. And then
And
you
once I
made
was
it your
convinced,
own.
yeah, I did for sure.
Great. What is your sourdough style? And I know the answer to this because I have your children's letters, but I want to hear it from you.
Right now, our sourdough, her name is Sarah.
Yes.
Because she was going to build many nations of bread. My 5-year-old named her that. I just thought that was so cute.
Yes, adorable.
Oh, she's so sweet. Because we were sitting there and I was like, we should name her. And my boys were like Methuselah and all these boy names. And she's like, I think it should be a girl. And I was like, absolutely, it should. So she came up with Sarah.
Cute.
Yeah, she's so adorable. So Sarah, the sourdough starter, she is only 3 weeks on Monday. I
She's
had
a
to build her.
baby.
She's just a little baby. And so she's had to sit on the counter and we've had to discard half and all that. So she's officially 3 weeks old and I'm thinking she's going to have to go in the fridge. I was going to review exactly how to make that happen, but I think my style is going to go from
Every
her being
day.
on, yeah, she's got to go in the fridge for some batch cooking once a week.
You're
That's
talking
her.
my language.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
me.
Yeah. When you said that was possible, I was like, that's good. I can do that. Yeah. That one,
Love
I was
it.
like, I can't have her in a crock on my counter. I need my counter space. That was overwhelming at first when I heard Erin talking about how she sits it on her counter. I was like, oh my goodness, no. But then you were like, oh, I put her in the fridge. I was like, okay, phew, I can do that.
Colleen,
That
you're
was funny.
hilarious. Well, you've still made things in this short time. So your second oldest, in the letters that your children wrote to me and the other teachers, he listed all these sourdough things with these amazing, like fantastic, amazing, yum. It was so cute. So
Yeah,
what
he
have you
did.
made?
So we've made pancakes, English muffins, soaked muffins, pizza. That was a big hit. I've made a lot of pizza over the years. I have developed my pizza dough for 20 years, and I made the pizza dough recipe, the sourdough one, and it blew them out of the water. They said, this is by far your best. And I went, what?
Wow.
So I think that really says something for the sourdough, because they said, you're only going to make this from now on. I feel like there was a couple of other things we made.
Your 5-year-old said she was looking forward to the spice cake, I think.
Oh, we
which is
haven't made
very
that
sweet.
yet.
So cute. It was really fun to talk about your different approach. And there are people who just, I want to know this, and they are all over the place, but it's not a chaotic thing. It's more like, I have a need, I'm going to look up the information. I have a need, I'm going to look up the information. So you could be doing multiple things at once. So that was great to see how that went for your family. Let's talk about your big wins.
My big wins would be, I think I've already mentioned, teaching the children and using it as a ministry. Those were probably neck and neck for number one of my big wins. And then just jumping into all of the information of traditional cooking has been really valuable. And having all of that on hand, I was given Sally Fallon's Nourishing Traditions book a couple years ago, and it's been stored away. I've been doing broth and stuff like that, but that was pretty much it. And so having your approach made all of that a little bit more tangible too. So I find myself going back and forth with implementing, I guess, just full on traditional ways of cooking. It's been so beneficial. I've noticed that when we're eating all of these items, what we would have normally experienced in our health with beans or rice or eating the pizza, we would always feel like we ate those items, like we ate beans or we ate too much bread, and we just don't get that same response from our bodies because it's utilizing the nutrients, and that has been noticeable.
Wow. Amazing.
So that was a big win.
I would like to talk about the children a little bit, just because they did send in those letters, and I can't remember which son it was saying that he now knows what to look for the future. Yeah. And he's 10. He's thinking about his future life now and watching for the equipment.
Yes.
I'm hoping you would talk about that a little bit.
We were going through the fundamentals, and me personally, I was interested in the cooking portion.
Yeah.
And then I scrolled up and I thought, I know what all these items are because I've been cooking for 20 some odd years. So they don't know. And I need to teach them that. And I'm going to have you do it because you did such a good job. Sometimes you need somebody else to teach you something. I just went through that, and you went through all the supplies that you need and why you use them and how to get them. And we have some amazing thrift stores around here and antique shops. We have one that's 15 minutes around the corner here, and it's got like 7 floors. So, wow. Yeah, it's awesome. We stumbled in there one day and we went, oh my goodness, we're not going to make it past the first floor.
Full of cast iron skillets, right? And old Pyrex mixing bowls and ball jars.
Yes, all the things. I found a dictionary. I know that's not traditional cooking, but it was amazing. I know. Anyways, he likes to look, and he is an adventurer by nature. And so giving him for these things so that you can have it in your house. He wants to build his own house someday. So he's already like drawing plans for that. And I'm like, but you need to put something in it. So now he knows from all those items. He bought himself a rolling pin, a couple of whisks, a Pyrex bowl. Oh my. And a couple of stainless steel measuring cups or something. And he was all excited because he bought them for a couple of bucks.
Oh my goodness. That is precious. So he's going to make a good husband.
No, he's just all around, just really an amazing kid. But I was surprised when he said that he was excited about all of that. And so that was a nice little bonding moment to get that out of him that I wouldn't have normally had a chance to ask him, hey, do you want to cook or something? Yeah. Now, which one of them was the star in The Dentist? Oh, that was the 10-year-old. Oh, same one. Tell us that story. He had to go to the dentist to get a tooth pulled. He had a baby tooth and it didn't want to come out. It happens sometimes. And so I called the dentist and I'm like, can you get him in? And he said, yeah. So we go in there and he's in the back, and I'm a little worried because he's got to get a tooth pulled. And so I'm in the lobby and I'm reading a book, trying to distract myself. He wanted to go in there all by himself and be brave and whatever. So I'm trying to let him be brave. I'm out in the waiting room and the door opens and the hygienist and the dentist come in and they sit across from me. And I go, yeah, I know. I'm like so scared. I'm like, is everything okay? They're like, oh yeah, everything's fine. But he was just telling us about sourdough. And so we want to know about sourdough. Can you make it with just any flour? Because he said it's really easy and the food is really good. And I was like, Woo! And so I
Best
did.
advertisement ever.
And so he was telling about the pancakes, I think, that we had. He said they're not sour at all and they're
Mm.
really good and you can use whatever flour you want. We had a little mini class about the benefits of a sourdough starter and how to make it. And I gave her your website because I was like, you
Oh,
just need to go
thanks.
to her and have her teach you. I was very relieved that something wasn't wrong.
Oh, I love that. You were telling me about your love of bread.
We do pizza and they make sandwiches pretty much daily, just something easy to have when they're in between either farm chores or school or
Mhm.
baseball or really just anything. Plus, bread is yummy. Jesus is the bread of
Mhm.
life. So I feel like we should be eating bread. I wanted to have the very best bread that we could have. And sourdough seemed like that was the very best option. Plus, it's very inexpensive. I like to have all the ingredients here on hand so I don't have to worry about going to the store if I'm out of something and planning for that. Just, I don't know, the acrobatics of getting to the store and back just to get some bread because they ate a whole loaf or something. And they're not eating as much bread, like instead of having
Oh,
4 sandwiches or something.
wow. So, yeah, it's more filling. Their bodies
Yeah.
are saying, I'm satisfied because it's
Oh,
not
yeah.
empty calories. Oh, that's
Oh,
amazing.
no, that's so huge. The chocolate bar that we made, I have one that has a big sweet tooth. He can eat a
Mhm.
whole thing of Oreos at my mother's, not at my house, but he will eat it at my mother's. And the chocolate bar, he says, is just very satisfying. And the
Nice.
cinnamon rolls that I make with the sourdough, they find the same thing. They eat one cinnamon roll and they're just completely satisfied. And they're not eating like the cinnamon rolls that are huge. They're not eating a huge cinnamon roll. They're satisfied with a lot less. So I think that's a huge benefit also. And they've mentioned it to me. I've found it true in mine, but it's nice when they're like, hey, I noticed that
Mhm.
it's more
Mhm.
satisfying. That's nice.
Nice. Thank you for sharing all those stories. I love it. I got to hear a
Yeah.
little bit more than I knew already. So that was
Yeah.
great.
One other thing, we made the
Yeah.
ranch dressing too. And my daughter now calls all dressing Wardyful because she thinks your name sounds like wonderful. And so she calls it Wardyful Ranch. I thought that
Oh,
was just
that's
so
so sweet.
precious.
That is precious. Please give her a big hug for me.
I will. I
Seriously,
will.
I wish I could give all of you a hug in person,
I
but
know. I
I have to
know.
settle for
Oh,
virtual.
I know.
Your family is precious, Colleen.
Thank you. Thank you.
As we wrap up here, if you think about your time in our Eat God's Way cooking program, who do you think you might recommend it to? Who do you think might benefit from it?
Oh, everybody. I tell everybody I'm constantly
Thank you.
sending your recipes. People often will call me for recipes because they know I
Yeah.
actually enjoy cooking. Anybody who needs a meal idea will call me and just say, what do you think I could make tonight? And so I'll be like, what's in your fridge? And so I've been
Mhm.
doing this for a long, 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 long time. People just call me and ask. And so now I'm telling them to do it the traditional way and how easy it is and sending them your recipes. And they're always big wins and they come back asking for more. I think it's so exciting to actually provide for your family and for them to love what you're cooking and to have that moment where food is fellowship. And I think that is so true. And I think that is one reason why you find Jesus around people a lot with food because
Yes.
it speaks to people and you can calm down and you can actually have a meaningful conversation around food. And so I think the traditional way of slowing things down and doing it right the first time, I think is a really neat way to fellowship with one another.
That was beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
Breaking bread together.
Yes, it's
Yes.
so
Yes.
good.
Oh, is there anything else you'd like to share?
Mm.
You've been so great.
Thank you.
How
I
does your
just
husband
really love
feel?
he loves the food. He's in a very busy time in his life. So it's nice also to have food that I know is going to provide that energy for him because what we call his paycheck job keeps him very busy. When he comes home and he's now roasting coffee, which is fun, he's very grateful to have the kids in the kitchen with me and watching them cook and knowing that when he has to go to his paycheck job, this is what he's providing. And so I think that's been really encouraging also for him. He's good.
Good. And he's very supportive. So that's
Oh,
wonderful too.
oh yeah. He's like, could you make more? In fact, he never has a sweet tooth unless he's had a bit of a stressful day. And one day it was a bit stressful. And so I had just made some cinnamon rolls and I was like, yay, you can have cinnamon rolls. And he got the last one and I just got to watch him enjoy it and make yummy noises. And it was so fun that he was so thrilled with this one, just a little treat.
Neat, neat. Thank you so much for sharing your story and your journey and your family and your life with us, Colleen. We really appreciate it.
I I just really appreciate you guys. And I know there's a lot of effort that goes into everything that you do and putting together all these videos and making sure that they're a good presentation. I was able to tell the kids a couple of times, see how she's not wearing like pajamas. Presentation matters. And they're like,
Yes,
you're right.
absolutely. You have watched some of our oldest videos too, because the sourdough ones are maybe some of the oldest we have. Just side note, I make a concerted effort these days to smile, specifically because of my old videos. I was very serious.
Oh no, you were concentrated.
I was concentrated, but
Yeah.
I think it's not only not wearing pajamas, but we grow
Right.
and we learn over the years go by. And we've been doing it long enough that I'm like, oh, I wish I had smiled more back
Yeah.
then, but the content is still good.
It's so good. That was really neat to see the growth. And I think that speaks also of how you can mature in what you're even learning and
Yeah,
leave
all of
room
us.
for growth. You learn and you grow and you develop it and you can change and fix it to your family. But you can actually see that in your journey. And I think that
Mm.
is just so precious that
Oh,
you get
thank
to
you.
have that and have your daughter there. And she's
Yeah,
amazing.
yeah, she
Have your
is.
grandkids there. We just laughed when your grandson was eating the
The
crisp
almonds.
almonds. Yes, we just all died. We thought that was so cute, just shoving it in his mouth.
I know, I know. That was a fun day.
Mm.
For
Yeah,
sure.
we
They just
loved it.
recently visited, and now there's a littler one, and they
Mhm.
made banana bread with me on video, which I haven't shared yet. One of these days I'll
Yeah.
look through the footage and decide what to do with it. But it's like their enthusiasm when they're like two-ish, but now they're 6 and 2. But anyway, their enthusiasm cannot be contained, you know?
Mhm.
They want to taste and stir. And I
Mhm.
know you know it because you have children, and it's precious. It's just so fun.
So fun. And we get to watch it, and it's encouraging to see other families enjoying each other and cooking. You're so
Yeah.
sweet. I just love it.
Oh, thank you, Colleen. I feel the same way about you. I know we have tons in common. So this has been really a delight. So thank you. And thank you to those of you watching who've been with us to share Colleen's story. If you have any interest, you or anyone you know, in learning to cook and eat God's way, and use the information that's with this video to reach out, and we'll give you more information about our current classes and events. God bless you all. Bye-bye.